found my son.
I need space to get the fake off. Get out my way. I need space, I'm about to take off. Get out my way. Yeah, the frequency been way up, way up. Get out my way. It's too easy, it's a layup, layup. Get out my way. I need space to get the fake off. Get out my way. I need space, I'm about to take off.
Okay, guys, I just got up here to Lakeside Pond. It's really windy out here. So yeah, this is the park. This is the pond where they actually found my son at. I'll never forget that morning I was at work. Actually, it was actually not that morning. It was the night before. The day before, I'll never forget, it was raining really hard outside. That morning, it was raining extremely hard outside. I'll never forget, because I'm like, wow, I've never seen it rain so hard like this here. So I was at work at Valbruna. It's a steel mill in Fort Wayne I used to work at before I moved out to Houston. They asked me to work a 12-hour shift that day. And I was like, okay, fine, you know, I need the money anyway. And I never forget, my son Deontay had texted me that morning. He said, Dad, can I use your boat? I was like, yeah, you can use my boat. I said, but you need a truck. He said, well, I got an SUV now, Dad. I was like, yeah, you can go to the house and grab my boat. I said, knock at the door. Make sure she know you there. You know, so she don't be like, who is it in my backyard, you know, messing with Damien's boat. And I remember getting off work later on that evening. I got off work and I got home, and I, you know, I pulled up in the driveway like I do every day when I get off work, and I seen my boat way in the back of the house, still with the tarp over it. I'm like, he didn't come and get the boat today. That's weird. So I said maybe he changed his mind because of all of the rain. So I didn't think nothing of it. So I went in the house and I took a shower. And somebody started beating on the door. I'm like, who the hell beat on my door like that? So I went to the door. It was this lady. My son used to date this lady's granddaughter. I don't really want to say names because, you know, just out of respect for these people. So this lady and her granddaughter was knocking at the door. And I'm like, what's going on? I came to the door. She's like, hey, your son is missing. He went fishing at Lakeside and his truck is out there and his fishing post is out there, but he's nowhere to be found. So me thinking like, well, maybe my son maybe jumped in the car with another female or something. It might be, you know, kicking it with another woman or something and just left his stuff there, you know. So I ended up calling his mom. And right as I called his mom, she was on her way out to Lakeside to search for him. And so I got in my truck and came out here too. And we walked around and we seen his truck and stuff. It was like, well, this fishing stuff is right there. Like something's not right here. So we, you know, he had 2 cell phones. So we kept calling his phones and he wouldn't answer none of them. I remember one of his phones kept going straight to the voicemail. And I'm like, damn, he normally answered his phone. And so we ended up going back home. Well, actually everybody had came out here and we walked around, you know, knocking on doors, asking people questions. And the lady remembered seeing a guy out there fishing, and she said she looked up, he was fishing, and then she said she looked up and he just disappeared. So we all left, but we all left the park wondering because we couldn't get into his truck because we didn't have his keys. So we figured, well, we'll wait and see. He'll call us tonight. He might be with his little girlfriends or something, side pieces or whatever. The call never came. So I remember going to work that morning. It was so hard to sleep that next day. I ended up going to work that morning. And when I got to work, but first I'm gonna get out and show you guys. I'm not gonna really walk around the park because I got this really awful feeling in my stomach. The street's gonna be kind of loud, guys, because I'm right here by like a main street, so there's gonna be a lot of cars. So I'm gonna try to talk loud so you guys can hear me. So I remember, well, let me just show you guys, and I'll get back in the truck and talk because it's loud. This is the pond right here. This is Lakeside Pond. There's actually 3 ponds. This is the second pond actually. There's a pond way over there. See what I'm saying about the noise, guys? My truck's right there. Cars are riding past. So this is the second pond once you enter into the park area. I'm gonna zoom my camera in so I don't walk over there. But where I'm zooming the camera in, right here, you guys see that little bridge right there? That bridge right there, oops. That bridge right there is where Dion was fishing at. And right as I turn my camera, you see the first tree, the second tree, the third tree is a skinny tree right there. That's where his fishing equipment was actually laying at. And his truck was parked over on one of those streets over there. And so basically, when I went home, I couldn't really sleep that night. I'm gonna get back in my truck because it's really windy. I want you guys to be able to hear me, hear every word so y'all don't miss no details. Oh, I must have locked it. Oh man, this is crazy. Every time I think about this, it just really hurts me bad to really even. So when I went home, I couldn't really sleep too well. Only thing I kept thinking of was like, Deontay, he still hasn't returned any of our calls. I remember calling his mom, his brother, everybody's like, have y'all heard from him yet? So it was hard to sleep that night. So that morning I ended up going to work. And I remember it was like about 7:15 a.m. in the morning. I called Deontay's girlfriend and she was crying hysterically. And she said that they finna call a dive team to come out here to this park. And I'm thinking like, a dive team? No. What do you mean a dive team? You know? So 7:15 a.m. that morning, my son Damon and Bianca had lived right here in Fort Wayne. I called Damon. And he knows something was wrong because I would never call him that early. I said, I need you to go out to Lakeside Park right now. I said, your brother is missing. I said, Damon, your brother is missing. I would never wake you up this early. Please get up and go out there. Damon ended up getting a babysitter for the DJ at the time. I think Kyrie was just a little bitty baby. Or Bianca was pregnant with Kyrie. It's one or the other. And I remember Damon called me and said his exact words. Damon's exact words. I was at work. He said, Dad, you better get out here. He said, Dad, you better get out here right now. And when I pulled up, I mean, I left work. I didn't even clock out. That morning, while I was driving out here, I heard on the radio that they had just pulled a body out of the water in the lakeside area. And when I heard it, I pulled over to the side of the road. I remember I was crying my eyes out. I was crying my eyes out. They just pulled a body out of the water in the lakeside area. Which is crazy. But it wasn't my son. They said that the description of the body they pulled out was a Mexican male, older Mexican male. And my heart kind of just like, oh man, oh my God. Well, I know that that's not my son's description, but it's so close. Lakeside Pond area. This is the Lakeside Pond area. On the other side of this bridge, there's a small pond, and on the other side of that pond is a river. This is where they pulled the first body out. So as I continue to start back driving out here, I got right to this very spot that I'm sitting in right now, guys. I was parked in this very spot that I'm sitting in right now. And when I pulled up, I seen fire engines. I seen 2 dive team boats out there in the water. And I took off running on the other side of the pond where I met with Damon and Bianca. And I remember them, it was so many people out here, news teams was out here, everything. And I remember them pulling one of the boats out the water. And one of the boats stayed, but the boat sat in one spot. And I seen one of the dive team members on the boat put his thumbs up. And they pulled out this big old yellow blanket. And I knew then that they had found my son. I knew that they had found Deontay. You know, I knew that they had found him. I knew that our search was over. And I remember Damon crying hysterically. I started crying. I think I fell up against the fire engine. Then I seen the coroner lady. She started putting her gloves and stuff on. And I knew then that they had found my son. So like, all this time, it's been really hard for me to even do a video like this. Because it is so hard to talk about, man. You know, it is really, really hard to even talk about something like this. I could never fathom losing one of my kids. You know. I'm at the cemetery now, so because of the COVID, they're not letting anybody inside. You have to call a number to actually have somebody come out. So I just gave this guy my son's name. They're gonna give me a map to help assist me. I know where my son's location is at. He's at the Praying Hands. But this is my first time here since his funeral. Yeah. This is Lindenwood. Most of my family members are buried out here. My mom's out here. My little brother's out here. My little brother was killed just not far from this location in 1995. His name was Ronald Dwayne Cryer. So most of my aunties and uncles are buried right here. And I'm quite sure one day I'm going to be visiting this area for my final resting place as well. But yeah, so I'm just waiting on him to come out now and show me around, take me where I need to go. So I know this part right here is not going to be easy for me at all. This is not going to be easy. But I said I was going to film it and I was going to record it. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've actually been out to the cemetery multiple times. It's just that, like, I've come back on on Mother's Day. I've come back on birthdays and stuff like that, certain people's birthdays, just to say a prayer, clean off their grave site. But I've never really I've never really came out here to visit one of my own kids. So this is definitely going to be different to come here to visit one of my own kids. I've never had to do anything like this in my life. And I'm really hoping that I never have to do anything like this again. My kids should be burying me. I should not be burying my kids. But, you know, I just wish that day that Deontay wouldn't have went out. I wish that he would have stayed home. It was raining that day. Deontay shouldn't even have been out there on the water that day. But that was his passion for fishing. He died doing what he loved to do. And, you know, for me, I actually blame myself. You know, people say that I shouldn't, but I actually blame myself for my son's passing because he loved to do what I love to do. I taught him what I love to do. I don't really play basketball like that. I didn't play it growing up like that. I didn't really play football growing up like that. My passion, my sports, my hobby was fishing. And he just wanted to just be like his dad, you know. He loved the water. He loved the water sports. You know, he had his run-ins with the law just like I did at a young age. And when he got out, when he came home, he started really taking life more serious, you know. But here comes the guy, so I'm gonna see you guys in a minute. This is crazy, man. I'm actually following the guy, Scott. He's taking me to my son's location. Yep. This is crazy. This is crazy for me to even believe that I'm even having to even, you know, live to even witness this moment right here. I've been in Houston for almost 2 years. I've been in Houston for almost 2 years now. And I've been in Fort Wayne probably 9 times since I lived out there. And every time I came to Fort Wayne, I said I was gonna come out here, and I never did. I never came. Because every time I got close to the gates, I turned around. I turned around and went back the other way. I just couldn't do it. So today, I'm actually gonna face one of my worst fears. I don't have my seatbelt on, that's the noise. I'm gonna face one of my worst fears, guys. I'm actually gonna do this. There's no turning back now. Just the thought of me, I don't know. I can't even put the right words with it. Praying hands. That's what I said, praying hands. This is why we all should stay prayed up. This is the reason why I said a while back on my channel that I was through with the drama and stuff, man. I was through with all of the, you know, just hurting people, saying stuff to hurt people. Even if people say stuff about me. Even if people say stuff to dog me out in their videos, talk about me in a bad way, try to come for my character, talk about my position as a good dad or a bad dad. It's like, I don't really care. It's gonna take a whole lot to really push my buttons and bring me back out, because life is too short, man. And this is an example. This guy's pulling over, so I'm gonna cut this for a minute. So, I found my son. This is my son. He was born February 5th, 1989. Passed away May 25th, 2017. So this is why I say don't take life for granted, because you never know when it's going to be your time. You never know. My son loved fishing, and he passed away doing what he loves to do. On his tombstone, he actually has the fish right there, and it shows him right there holding a fishing pole. I'm gonna cut this off, guys. I'm gonna spend some time with him, and I'll just see you guys in a little bit.